Hello Coachvox creators, it's Ben here, and in this video we're going to give your Coachvox AI some guidance on exactly how it should engage and interact with your audience. Let's get into it. So here we are in training room 3, engagement, and this page looks pretty simple, and from the front it kind of is. There's a lot going on behind the scenes, but from your perspective, there's not actually too much to do here, so we just want to understand exactly what it is we're telling the AI to do. So the first slider you see in the framing information section is all about how much information your AI needs before it actually starts going and coaching or mentoring the person interacting with it. So you might be thinking, why didn't we just put this slider in with the style sliders of training room 1? Well, this isn't really a kind of tone and voice thing. This is more of a strategy for how it goes about coaching or mentoring. Now, an example of this might be if someone came to me and said, Ben, I want to be able to squat more weight. Of course, I could go straight in with a response here by saying, okay, let's add more training volume, or let's try and add more weight, or let's look at your technique. Or I could find out more information, and that could be, okay, well, how long have you been squatting? How much can you currently squat? What is the goal you want ultimately, as opposed to it just being more weight? What's the goal weight you want to be able to squat? So it's not necessarily digging deeper into the whys. It's not saying, why do you want to squat more? Is this a high priority for you in life? It's definitely just gathering more information before giving advice or deciding it's enough information. I don't need to know everything. I'm just going to give advice. Now you might be thinking, yeah, okay, I'm always going to want a bit more information, right? Because that informs a better decision. But of course, the user might just want a straight answer. They just might want guidance. Therefore, if you think that your audience is more likely just to want to hear advice, something straight away without having to answer a load of questions, then actually not at all, so not needing too much information might be a better choice for you. So a couple of things to note here is that AI is always going to want to be helpful. That's just the way the models are trained. So even at either end of the spectrum, the AI isn't going to impair the experience that someone has. So if there's simply not enough context to give any meaningful advice, the AI is probably going to ask for more context. If at the other end of the spectrum, you want your AI to know everything, it's not going to just continue to ask questions over and over and over again, because of course, that's not a great experience for the user. Something else to note is there's not a huge difference between every single point. In actual practical terms, it's quite a subtle difference. And of course, the AI is going to use the context of the conversation so far to really inform how it responds. Now, the second slider is another one that's very nuanced, and every difference between each point is quite subtle. Now, this is whether the AI has a preference for the content that you've provided it, or whether it's kind of agnostic towards it and it can just use the collective information of the internet. So we don't recommend that you select the far left-hand pointer, only my content, unless you're using your AI for an internal purpose. Maybe it's an SOP document or something where there's absolutely no need for it to go and get information from elsewhere on the internet. In fact, you only want it to use the trained data. So it's basically going to impair the user experience if it's from someone who's trying to interact with your AI. Maybe you're using it as a lead magnet. Like, this is absolutely not the option that you should select. We, in fact, kind of recommend position 3 or 4. But again, it's a very subtle difference between each point. The final section on this page is let down information. And what this is if you don't have training data to cover a specific point and you've selected only my content, the AI is going to provide let down information. They're essentially going to tell the client, I don't have that there. So again, we've given you some pre-fills. We also give you the ability to write your own answer, as I have done here, and you just hit enter to add that into this database here. So the other time you might use some letdown information is if a user has asked for something quite specific, maybe about a product or a service, and your AI doesn't know that. If it asks something factual, it may well use some letdown information, even if you haven't selected only my content. Now, it's not always going to use the letdown information as you've written it, because that might not go with the flow of the conversation or the context of the conversation, but it's worthwhile having something in there that sounds a bit like you so that AI has something to go on if it does have to let a user down. As always, when we're writing content here, we want to make sure that we check for spelling and grammatical errors so we don't pull any errors through. And again, make sure we hit that save button if we've made any modifications, and wait until we've got that save success message down there. So that was training room 3 engagement, and it won't take you too long to configure and save those changes. Remember to subscribe to the channel to make sure you stay up to date with all the latest content we have to help you train a great AI version of you with Coachvox AI. I'll catch you in the next one.